Welcome everyone to Arthritis at Home. My name is Ellen and I'm the programs coordinator at Arthritis Consumer Experts. Today I'm joined by President Cheryl Koehn. Welcome, Cheryl.
Hi everyone. Nice to see you out there in Arthritis at Home land. And obviously I see you all the time, Ellen, but it's a pleasure to see you now.
Thank you, Cheryl. And today we are going to have a really important conversation and something that we're super excited to share.
Yeah.
Cheryl, as a member of your team now, I know how important this work to you, and as part of the 2022 work plan, Truth and Reconciliation is kind of right at the pillar of everything that we're doing. Can you tell us why it's a key focus of the work at ACE this year?
You bet, Ellen. I think probably like most people who live in Canada, this land called Turtle Island, or I should say Turtle Island, now called Canada by some, the truth about the injustices done to our Indigenous brothers and sisters could not be more clear. Quite a lot of time has passed from when the Truth and Reconciliation report was issued, I think back in 2016. So it's been 6 years, and there has been some progress on some of the calls to action, but there's been a lot of inaction on many of the calls to action. The news of the lost children, the 215 lost children up in Kamloops, really shook us to the core, as I know it did many who are watching this program. We were, I think, individually as team members at ACE and also organizationally committed to equity, but I would say that probably we weren't as committed as we needed to be towards truth and reconciliation and taking action to try to, one, know, feel, have empathy for what's happened to Indigenous peoples over the last 140 years, and to actually do something about it. So that's kind of where this body of work, these activities we're going to talk about, comes from. It comes from a deep place of knowing, of a deep sense of responsibility to address the wrongs that were done to Indigenous peoples in Canada.
That's really beautiful, Cheryl. Thank you for really elaborating on that why. And I think when your plate gets really full, it's really important to come back to that why of why are you doing this and why is it a pillar of this year? So thank you for that, Cheryl.
Yeah, also before we move on, I just want to say that for everyone watching, one of the fundamental pieces that we take every day towards truth and reconciliation is acknowledging the land that we're on. And acknowledgements of land should be from the heart. And I know you join me in feeling a very special kinship to the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Coast Salish peoples, which is where you and I live, work, and play every day. It is a beautiful land. We are so indebted and grateful to the land keepers. And I know individually you and I, as well as our organization, promises to walk lightly and to love the land. And I just encourage everyone to search out what land they're on and to learn about the land, to learn about the land keepers, and to honor the acknowledgement process that is fundamental to truth and reconciliation.
It is absolutely a great first step. And I think, if you ever have the chance to listen to a really authentic, just like soul cleansing land acknowledgement, I've heard some beautiful ones more recently. It just sets the stage of, wow, like
it taps into your humanity, and one has to come from the most central of human places to do the work of truth and reconciliation, to love, to honor, to respect, to make right the things that have been done to Indigenous peoples, right? It's where we start, is saying this ground we're on, which is sacred to Indigenous peoples. It's central to their life, to their worldview. Only then can you actually walk the path forward alongside Indigenous peoples and in honor and support of them.
Absolutely. Cheryl, can you share a little bit about kind of the specific activities that are part of Arthritis Community collaboration and our truth and reconciliation efforts?
You bet. You know, last year, as you know, every sort of late summer, fall of the year preceding, so in 2021, we sit down and we look at all of the survey work, all of the knowledge building that we've done and shared here at ACE. We wanted to honor the work we set out doing nearly 2 years ago, and making it more formal, making it, as you say, a pillar of our work activities in ACE. And we sought out, when we began doing our work on truth and reconciliation about a year ago, a little over a year and a half ago now, one of the things that's really essential is being guided by Indigenous peoples. So not asking them to help us do the work per se and give you know, I would say sort of copying out and saying, give us the answers, you turning it back on them and saying, well, you tell us what to do. No, no, no. The truth and reconciliation process starts within us, within each one of us, non-Indigenous, settlers, colonials. And so we all sat together with our guide, with our co-leader in these efforts, Dr. Terri-Lynn Fox, thought, well, what is it that a grassroots organization can do to really have an impact? And one of the things that ACE is good at is getting people excited about doing something meaningful, something that's going to be durable and sort of scalable. How can we grow the truth and reconciliation effort within the arthritis community? So we thought there were 4 places that we could start. One, we could support Dr. Terri-Lynn Fox in sharing her dissertation work, which is specific to Indian residential schools and truth and reconciliation. 2, to talk to us, to teach us. She is an Indigenous scholar. She is someone who lives with rheumatoid arthritis, so it's part of our community, to teach us about the health specific calls to action, Ellen, which are 18 to 24. We're going to provide a link so that folks at the end of this talk, so that folks can go and read these and think about them and what they mean to them as an individual, but also maybe within the organization or the work that they do, or part of the work that they do. So she's going to give us a webinar on that for our community. We're registering for that now, by the way, and we will also provide a link. That there are a few spaces left, so we encourage people to go. It's just a great, even if you're not part of the arthritis community, it's a great opportunity to learn from an Indigenous scholar what the calls to action related to health mean to them, to Indigenous peoples, why they are so important for settlers, colonials, organizations led by those types of people, why it's so important that they address them, actually show meaningful progress on them. And we're also, the third aspect of our work, so sign up for that, May 13th, 9 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. There's a link at the end. And then the third activity is an audit of our own. We can only walk in truth and walk in respect and walk with honor of our Indigenous brothers and sisters when we look at our own selves, when we do that work within. And part of the work within for an organization is what they are putting on their outward facing materials, whether they're print, online, social media. So we're in the process, and you are one of the leaders of this process, of auditing our websites, not just for Indigenous appropriate content, the inclusion of Indigenous appropriate content, but also being mindful of the writing that we use in terms of trauma, things that might trigger statements that might trigger people, or language that may trigger people who have suffered from some type of trauma. So it's a bit of a dual effort there, but the primary focus obviously is on including Indigenous appropriate material, honoring our Indigenous brothers and sisters. And then lastly, one of the things that has been done in another disease area, in cancer, is they went ahead and created a website that helped show, first of all, non-Indigenous peoples how the health calls to action relate to their disease. So arthritis, we number 6 million plus people in the country. Ellen, we're a huge community. And our dream, I know shared by you and others of our teammates, is to have 6 million plus people who walk with arthritis, walk on the path towards truth and reconciliation with us. So, you know, we started small. Think about dropping a pebble in a still pond of water. And we're building an arthritis circle. We're building an arthritis circle of truth, knowing, feeling, empathizing, trusting, and making the kind of change in our own lives, in the lives of our organizations, and in the community writ large, that actually is respectful of Indigenous peoples, is actually taking action on truth and reconciliation calls to action. So that website is going to have a real focus, by the way, on call to action 22, which is specific to traditional healing practices and beliefs of Indigenous peoples. It is essential that our arthritis community, and particularly healthcare providers and healthcare educators such as ourselves, understand what are the priorities, what is the lens through which an Indigenous person wants to look at their own health. All of these 4 activities, Ellen, the banner for it is, or the vision, our state, I feel it's a statement of love, is Gamotan, and that means cleansing is healing. And so part of the cleansing process, a key piece of it, in fact, maybe the central piece of it for settlers and colonials like myself, is learning. And that learning process, when you understand what has happened to Indigenous peoples for the 140 past years of our history here, you will cry. And that crying process, either literally or figuratively, is the beginning of the healing process, is the knowing, is the, you know, understanding, is the feeling. So that's those are the 4 activities for 2022. Oh, by the way, the talk series, it's a series of 4 talks. The first one has been given, the next one is in June, so folks will be hearing about that as the date nears. But I think that's sort of it in a nutshell. I hope I didn't ramble too terribly much.
No, thank you, Cheryl. Like the detail is just so, it's very invoking.
Yeah.
And I do want to add on to your last point.
Absolutely.
Where, I remember, I'm going to be very honest and vulnerable with everyone right now. The first time I heard stolen land and uninvited guests, I think my body shuddered. So I heard that in a very raw land acknowledgement. It was wonderful, but I shuddered. And at first I'm like, oh, I don't want to sit here. But then as a healthcare provider, right, like our healthcare educator, what we say is we always want to learn. All of us love learning, but learning, cleansing, growing is sometimes uncomfortable.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. It is. But if you think that work is difficult for us, think of the trauma and pain and intergenerational suffering of Indigenous people. We've got it easy. It's absolutely imperative that we do something to honor, respect the trauma and pain carried today by Indigenous peoples, their families. So yeah, I hear you. I felt the same way, but that strong language is appropriate. It's appropriate, and it's okay to feel what you felt. In fact, I would almost suggest it's essential that you feel those things. If you don't, you may want to think about that. Why is it that that's not upsetting to you? What is it about your implicit bias, right? That keeps you from getting closer to the information, to the knowledge that makes us uncomfortable. So thanks for sharing that, Ellen. It's really important. And, we're not experts at truth and reconciliation. We're going through it like everyone else. What we're trying to do is share with our community how we're going about doing it, that we are taking responsibility at the individual level in terms of the team members at ACE, but also at the organizational level. And we want to walk with others. The path towards cleansing and healing comes as a village, comes as a community at large. So we really hope folks watching this episode of Arthritis at Home will join us, walk with us on the path. As we often say here at ACE, walk with us. Walk with Dr. Terri-Lynn Fox, walk with Indigenous peoples in your community. The first step is learning, looking at yourself, asking yourself some core questions, which also will be on a slide following this chat.
Thank you for that, Cheryl.
Yeah.
Let's hold each other accountable, right? To follow through, because yes, the report is fantastic, but it's only a start, right? It really is up to us to sit here and be uncomfortable and reflect.
Be uncomfortable, and what will get us, I don't even know if you ever get comfortable. How do you get comfortable with 140 years of cultural genocide? How do you get comfortable with finding the remains of lost children? I don't know that you ever do. What you can do is learn about it, understand why it happened, understand what is needed to make certain it never happens again. And to honor our Indigenous brothers and sisters, not just in the arthritis community, obviously right across the land.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Yeah.
And with that, are there any next steps, more activities, resources you want to share with everyone that is joining us today?
Yeah, you bet. So I mentioned the webinar that's happening on Friday, May the 13th. We're not superstitious here. It does take place at 9 a.m. There are spots available. It's free. It's Dr. Terri-Lynn Fox is an incredible teacher. She's an incredible guide in this work. So I know you'll enjoy hearing her speak. And I guess following that, that we are providing resources for people as a place to start. As I said, Ellen, we're not experts, but we are happy to share where we've gone and what we've experienced and how it's changed what we do. We are looking for partnerships in community at the one-to-one level, person with arthritis to person with arthritis, as well as organization to organization, multiple organizations. That's what this body of work for us in 2022 is all about. It's building the arthritis circle and walking on the path forwards towards truth and reconciliation. That's what we're doing. That's the big motherhood statement, if you will. And we just hope people join us. So there'll be more resources at the end of this video. You can also visit some of the writing that we've already done on this topic. I think those are good places to start for folks if they haven't been engaged in truth and reconciliation work, either at the individual or the organizational level. And stay tuned for a refreshed website. We're gonna roll out new pages as we complete them, and the exciting new website, which I think is going to be a really great resource for our entire community. So there'll be more on that in future episodes.
Well, I am looking forward to it, Cheryl, and I'm sure everyone else is. And yeah, with that, walk with us. Check out the links below this video, and please do reach out if you have any questions or concerns. We are here to do it with you. So thank you to everyone online. Thank you to Cheryl, and we'll see you on May 13th. Bye,
Yay.
everyone.
See you guys. Bye.